Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy.
All right, folks, here we are on Friday, December 20th. We're going to take a look at three stocks today, as you see in the title: RGTI, IONQ, and QUBT. So for each of them, we're going to start here in the Webull. We'll do a couple of views here on the Webull chart, and then we'll flip over to Thinkorswim, see what it looks like there, and then move on to the next ticker. So RGTI first. So we have these extension levels that we put in a long time ago. Not a long time ago, a little while back. And it's been working through them actually really, really well. I'm impressed and surprised always when Fibonacci extension levels actually work. And this seems to be one of those times. Now it did, jump up to 1275 here the other day, but it ended up just sort of wrestling between, the 17th and the 18th of December. Ended up wrestling with this 1091 level. So yeah, it popped to 1275, but being so volatile and having such crazy, green and red days, as you see today, up over 25%, but yesterday it was down 30%. So it's just like when you have back-to-back days and weeks like that, it is reverting back into the extension levels that we currently have. So if this swing gets settled, and if this ends up to be this bottom and it starts to move back up to and through this 1091 level, then we can put in new extension levels and work off of those. But for now, I'm happy with how these are playing out. The fib extension levels are in yellow. The blue ones are just standard support and resistance levels that I find from previous price action on the chart, and those I often tend to trust to be strong. And so the nearest in levels that I have at the moment, support level 914 and 849 if it dips, and then resistance levels if it continues to push higher, 963, and then like we said, 1091. If you zoom in, you can see what this looks like. So it does look a little bit cluttered here, but if you zoom in and you're kind of looking at this intraday, you can see how it's been moving off of these levels, right? And it still is cluttered. There's a lot of levels, but look, we're covering a ton of ground. This is a 1090. This is an intraday. This is a 10-minute chart. It's showing 1091 all the way down to 592. And why is it doing that? Because RGTI has so much crazy range day after day after day that it's covering so much ground. So it does look like there's a lot of levels on the chart, and there are, but you have to take into account that it's covering this huge, huge range. So that's why. But yeah, those are the levels that I see. If you want to see it to continue to sort of like get into a new phase of bullish activity, 1091 is what you want it to flip to the floor. You want it to flip that to support. Maybe it comes up and reconfirms it or something, or comes up and kind of leaves it behind. But that's the critical level to my eye. EMAs wise, coming down back to the 8 EMA, not yet needing to come to the 21. So again, if it can sustain support off of the 8s, that may be another good indication that there's additional bullish momentum that needs to be exhausted, or that is willing to be exhausted in the days and weeks ahead. Thinkorswim side of things, we had this TTM squeeze, trigger, and fire that set off this rocket ship, pulled back into the channel, sort of riding the green wave cloud at the moment. ATR levels are just blasted through. Currently, as it stands, the January ATR level is situated call trigger in the upper 9s with a +1, just, actually a pretty reasonable, like $11 or so for January, but that may shift if things get, sort of more volatile. It's hard to say more volatile when yesterday was down 30%. Today it's up 25%. But if we start to stretch out of this sort of price realm, then, these might sort of resituate as well, because they are dynamic. But other than that, phase oscillators at 82. So nothing there that would be sort of contributing to inhibit buyers coming in and pushing this higher. So I'm interested to see if it can hold that 8 EMA and can hold this green wave cloud. There very well might be more bullish pushes to be had with RGTI. IONQ up over 17% today. These are the fib extension levels that I have in here. You can see the swing that I'm taking that off of, and you can see it's getting stuck right along those levels. So the resistance levels that I see right now, 47.14, if it can get legs to and through that. 52.34 is what I would be looking for on IONQ. If it needs some support, if it peels back off of this 44 level where it's at currently, 43.06, 40.19, 37.32, and then you see here 33.77 and 28.04. These are old levels that I had on the chart when we looked at it. I didn't remember looking at this. We must have looked at it a long time ago when it was in this phase, because I came in and I had a bunch of levels down here. But I got rid of them and just moved them around to be more in line with where the recent price action is. And then if we look at the EMAs, it did have a relatively recent dip down to the 34, or like near the 34, right? It at least dipped briefly below the 21. So not a tremendously rough move, not anything indicating okay, maybe the bullish momentum is really starting to peel off. So still finding nice support at the 21, but it was getting a little dippy toward the 34. But it's recovered quickly and easily from that at the moment, still situated well above the 183 EMA. So to me, all is looking well there. We'll see just, as we saw with RGTI, it can get really volatile, and just as quickly as you're moving up, you can move down. So just keep that in mind. Now, IONQ, on the Thinkorswim side of things, it's through the +1 ATR for December. So we'll see if it has more gas left in the tank, or if it's just going to kind of consolidate or regroup and then get into January and start to move. It is, oddly enough, on the phase oscillator here, it's actually in compression at the moment. So just sort of this, few candles of sideways action, enough to peel it down from this crazy bullish phase that it was in and keep it in compression. So we'll see if that, results in another big move coming. Big move is always, a cautionary tale, because big move doesn't mean that it's going to moon, right? It just means that there's a big move coming, and that could be either direction. So please just keep that in mind. When I say big move, it could be a big rug pull, right? It could be elevator down, or it could be rocket ship up. But the compression phase might be indicating that. But these are the levels that I would be keeping an eye on for IONQ. QUBT, I put in some fib extension levels here. Not a lot to go off of, so I took what I could. If it breaks this low of 1357, that kind of busts these levels. But as long as it holds that, the levels that I have are 1856, 2185, 2414, 2663, and then if it gets there, 3019. But that's these are huge percentage gains if it can get through those levels. We'll see. The only sort of really pertinent level that I could draw from previous price action is this 1502. So if it does come down toward the swing lows here, I would look for 1502 to maybe be a hold where it doesn't need to come down to 1357. And like I said, if it blows through here, then the whole thing is sort of a bust. And if it does get through there, then you have some support levels probably here around 8.5 down to high 7s. But I'm not going to put those on the chart for now, because it's just going to sort of clutter things and probably won't serve us super well. For now, as it's pulling back, getting support right off the 8 EMA. So again, that's what you would be looking for. That's what you'd want it to do if it were to be able to prove that, hey, it can have some sharp pullbacks after some big gains, right? It can have gains of 65, 51, and 52% back to back to back. And then it can have a day where it rolls down 41% and then still catches support with a follow-up day of a moderate 16% gain, but catching that support right off of the 8. So it bangs down hard, but it catches the 8. That's what you'd want to see if, again, it's going to indicate that there may be more bullish momentum to be exhausted before anything more significant is going to consolidate or pull back even further. ATR levels are totally a bust at this point, catching support on the green wave cloud. Again, if it can hold that, another strong indicator that there may be more bullish momentum here to be exhausted. If it loses it and starts to come down, then yeah, maybe we sort of question it a little bit differently. Phase oscillator right now, about 94, getting up there, but nothing really crazy, to be honest. So nothing there that would indicate to me that, hey, that might be sort of a dicey factor. So 3 stocks actually after, the sell-offs and stuff that was going on the last day or two, these puppies are actually trying to put in some nice work again today. We'll see if that lasts into next week and through the rest of December. I know there's some macro forces that are coming in to really shake things up, and we'll see, what that means for some of these stocks that have seen such significant growth recently. If they often tend to get hit the hardest when there's macro forces peeling off, 2% from the S&P 500 or 3% from the NASDAQ or something, and then you have these stocks that have been seeing tremendous growth recently and they get hit with 40% down, stuff like that. So just keep in mind that these are potentially targets. If you do get a little bit of a downturn in the market, these ones can be hit really quickly and really significantly. All right, folks. So I hope that you had a good trading week and that you enjoy your weekend. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.